Hey, what is up everyone? In this video, I just wanted to go over the softwares that I use on a day-to-day basis to run my $4.5 million Amazon business. And for those of you that don't believe me, let me just pull out my phone and refresh my Seller Central. So my Amazon, just refresh it real quick. Last week, $63,000 in sales. So in my day-to-day basis, my business really only relies on, 7 softwares. One of them is Google Sheets, so it doesn't really even count as a software. And I use that to track my purchases. But other than that, for the most part, I'd say my business cost is very lean. Every 4 or 5 weeks, I take a look at all my subscriptions just to make sure I didn't accidentally subscribe to anything new, because in a business like this, in a cash flow business, you really want to keep an eye out on all your expenses on a month-to-month basis. So after $4.5 million in sales on Amazon, I really only found these 6 softwares to be the most helpful and the most useful, quote unquote, necessary softwares. But the first one would be DS Amazon Quick View. And this software is free, guys. I do believe you could purchase like a premium, which is like a one-time payment of $30. I could be wrong because I made this payment so long ago, like probably over a year ago. And essentially what it is this software. And I always recommend it in every YouTube video to all my students just to use this software, just because it really speeds up the product research process, if that makes sense. Because instead of clicking into each individual listing and letting all the data, all the other softwares load to show the BSR, to show the number of sales, the profit calculator, all of that, it really just shows you the requirement that you need in order to make a quick judgment to determine if this is an item that you want to continue looking into, right? So for DS Amazon Quick View, this is the pop-up. So when I search, for example, Scrub Daddy, this whole pop-up shows up for each individual listing, and it shows the BSR. The lower the BSR, the better. It also shows you the sales in each specific category, which isn't too important. It gives you the ASIN. It shows you the brand. It shows you the number of FBA sellers. So essentially, this is all the information you need. It even shows you the estimated monthly sales for the premium, DS Amazon Quick View, which is, like I said, $30. But essentially, all you need is the BSR and the FBA sellers, because if Amazon's on the listing, like this one, it will show you, and you can just quickly decide, maybe this isn't the right listing that I should hop on. So the second software that I have and that I use would be AZ Insight. And this software is about 20 USD a month. Like I said, my pricing could be slightly off because I haven't checked in a very long time, but AZ Insight is essentially this profit calculator software. It is the same as Seller Amp, and I know a lot of you guys use Seller Amp. So, it's honestly a preference. Each one is good. I would recommend both of them. It's just a personal preference. And essentially with AZ Insight, it shows you the BSR, the estimated monthly sales, the estimated monthly revenue, how many FBM sellers there are at the price, how many FBA sellers at the price. It shows you everything, right? All the information that you need to make a judgment on whether or not this item is profitable for you and whether or not you think this item will sell very quickly or not. So this is a required software. And if you don't have AZ Insight, you should have Seller Amp. This software is very, very helpful. Moving on to the third software, that would be Keepa. Once again, this is a required software, and you really need this and AZ Insight in order to make good purchasing decisions. Without these softwares, you will not be able to make proper and smart purchasing decisions, and your likelihood of losing money on purchasing items would be very, very high. Out of all the softwares that I will mention in this video, Keepa is the most important one, just because it shows you historical data. So Keepa shows historical pricing by the day, by the week, by the month, 3 months, and just all of it. So it gives you a good idea on whether or not an item has been profitable in the past. And by doing so, essentially with AZ Insight, it shows you the current snapshot, the current price, the current profitability at this stage in time. But Keepa, it gives you an idea on whether or not this item has been profitable in the past, because obviously every single purchase we make, we predict the price into the future, and obviously no one can predict the future. So for all I know, the price will go down or the price will go up. But with historical data, which is the only type of data that you can really use and evaluate, say for example, with this Scrub Daddy, the price has been, set at around $13 for, the last 9 months, right? So we can make a good estimation that for the months coming up, for at least the next couple of weeks, the pricing would most definitely be around this price, right? About $13, $14 ish in that price range. And we shouldn't really expect any price drops or price increase for the most part. Obviously, this listing is a little bit different because it's kind of unusual that the pricing is just flat as it's only dominated by one seller. But regardless, Keep is very important because it shows you all the historical data. It shows you the offer count, buy box statistics, every single thing. And like I said, you really need the software in order to make legitimate and smart purchasing decisions. So the next software that I use is Sellerboard. This is more of an accounting tool where it helps me keep track of my daily sales as well as my daily profit and expenses and advertisement costs. This software is, I think it's like $10 or $15, so it's relatively cheap, but it's also required because it gives you a good understanding on how much money you really make. Obviously, ultimately, you still need a bookkeeping software and you still need to do your taxes, your accounting, keep all your numbers in check for the year end. But for a day-to-day basis, you can really just keep track and have a good idea of how much money you're making. Like I said, it shows sales, the number of items that I sell, advertisement costs, net profit, estimated payout, refunds, and there's even different tabs where it shows you the trend. So how much an item sells on a day-to-day basis, just everything, right? So this software, in my opinion, is a requirement as you scale. And probably once you hit about like $2,000, $3,000 a month in sales, you should really consider getting Sellerboard because it gets quite confusing to track your profits and expenses on a day-to-day basis. So the next software that I have would be a repricer. And in my case, I use SellerSnap. There's several different repricers and this is the most expensive software in my business. Unfortunately, it's about $500 a month, but it's not very necessary if you're starting out on Amazon. Obviously, if you get to the level and scale that I'm running my Amazon business at, you definitely need a repricer. So what a repricer does is it automatically adjusts the price of items that I sell on a daily basis. Well, actually, every single hour it adjusts. So it ensures that my items are priced competitively and that I can maintain a good amount of buy box percentage on, every single day, right? So obviously it's very pricey. It's about $500, but over time, because of how many items that I have, it would be too time consuming for me to go into every single item every single day to ensure that I have the best chance at winning buy box. So that's what SellerSnap or the repricer does. If you're a new seller and you only have, say, like 10 to 50 items that you carry, you could still go in every single day and manually adjust the price to make sure that you're priced competitively. But when you have like 200, 300, even 500 plus items, that becomes a little bit more difficult, a lot more time consuming, and that's when you should really look into repricing. There's even cheaper reprices like Be Cool or Go Aura. Those options are also really, really good, very cost efficient. But from my opinion, SellerSnap is the best, and I've been using them for quite a lot of time now. To be fair, I honestly don't think many of you really need a repricer until you hit 50 plus listed items on your Amazon storefront. Last but not least, we use Smart Scout as quote unquote like a product research software. This software is a bit pricey. It's about $70, and I've made plenty of videos in the past on my YouTube channel on how I use Smart Scout on a day-to-day basis. But I use this to find, arbitrage items, to find wholesale products, to kind of scout and see what other sellers in my area is selling as well. And overall, it's not a necessary software. I could definitely remove this subscription and cancel it if I really wanted to, but for the most part, it brings me more money than the monthly charge of $70. So I really do recommend trying out Smart Scout and playing around with it. It's really, really good for wholesale and finding distributors. It's okay for arbitrage. It's not really that big of a requirement if you're on the arbitrage side, but if you're doing wholesale, I do recommend using Smart Scout.